The Northern Lights Juried Art Exhibition is underway here at the White Bear Center for the Arts. We'll share some of the art and events happening here during this May edition of Local Image. Hello and welcome, I'm Judy Skye Voss, and art is definitely in the air and on the walls here, and as you will see in our first story, it can also be found in the yard at a home in the city of Grant, where we caught up with artist couple Jim and Barb Schroedl for this Local Image segment.
It brings people in, you know, to hear music, and they want to go over there, and especially the little kids. Little kids are just enamored with it. And you get a little 3-year-old in, and you play some polka, and he's just jumping there. Just jump, jump, jump. And they enjoy it so much, and I enjoy seeing it. And, you know, it brings people over to our tent, if you will.
Concertina is usually out there somewhere, and people say, "What's that? And what do you do with that?" And so then it becomes this other part of the show.
We do this because it gives us something to do more than anything.
We had a yard with a lot of area that needed planters. We needed things to put plants in that were going to be durable. The terracotta planters just didn't last, and they were always kind of a nuisance. So Jim thought, well, I bet we could make those out of concrete. So we went online to find a place where we could buy some molds that we could use, and those would be the metal kind of molds that you'd use for planters. So we bought a couple of those and made quite a few planters, and then decided, I guess maybe we could do other things too. It wasn't just, there's always leftover cement. What else are you going to do?
I got to making those flower pots, and we needed some flower pots, and all of a sudden I had 120 flower pots there, and then I had to scratch my head, and I said, well, we got to do something with this. We can't just keep on doing this. And so that's when Barb got the idea that it would be a good idea to probably try our luck at one of these fairs, or one of these weekly things that we go to everything now, and that we do right now. And it worked out, and then of course she in turn just increased everything in terms of, we started out with that, then she went into the butterfly baths, and then she went into stepping stones. And as you can see over here, we have an enormous number of molds, and I don't know how many things, but we must mold well over 150 things here, little birds to big pots to big vases.
If I were going to try to do something alone, that wouldn't be much fun. Well, Jim needs something that he can do that's busy and accomplishes something as well. So between the two of us, it's the perfect fit. And it's physical. We both wanted something that would keep us active. I don't know if you know how old we are, but we are 80. And so we do try to stay physically strong. And that, our concrete will do that for you, because you're lifting and moving and whatever. So it is definitely a physical, healthy kind of thing to do.
I have to move the stuff. Now, whether it's moving from here down below where she can get it to work in her workroom, and then bring it back up here and put it in our trailer and take it to wherever we're going to have our next show, that's about what we do. That's logistics. That's what I do. And I'm good at it.
There's a lot of thought, a lot of pre-planning, a lot of background kinds of things that you do before you ever get out to this building and start doing things. I do a lot of one-of-a-kind design, so there's a lot of glass work, a lot of background of that type. So then finally when the weather gets warm enough so we can work comfortably, then we really start pouring the cement and doing some of these things that we've been planning. We primarily do art shows, and so art shows should be one-of-a-kind kinds of things rather than the molded things. So I think the bigger portion of that is doing whatever we can with our leaves, and there are all kinds of wonderful leaves out there that are very sturdy. Now, the rhubarb is probably the one everyone knows about, and it's a beautiful leaf and it makes a beautiful product. But we also grow elephant ear leaves, and those get to be big, beautiful leaves. They're all nice leaves that I can use in my design work. I'm going to be making butterfly bath. That's what these smaller items are. And they're sand casting. So I'm starting with just this bed of sand, and you add water to it. Pack it down, it gets really pretty hard. Rhubarb is in season, then one big rhubarb leaf will just sort of fill this all in. And I have Napa cabbage, which is a nice leaf too and will make a nice design. But you just lay those around the outside. I will put a piece of slag glass that has been run through a rock tumbler. That goes in upside down. It's embedded into the sand. Then the concrete is put on top of this and let to harden. And when it's hardened, if I turn it over, I can pull out the leaves and the glass will be a little center point. We make all kinds of stepping stones and benches and big bird baths, lots of things.
At the turn of the century, going from 1999 to 2000, that's when I retired. And I've been, when I say I retired, I didn't retire from something, I retired to something.
We've taught hundreds of children through the summer. This is a chicken dance. And everybody's, oh, couldn't do that. And then all of a sudden they're out there, and then we get them dancing, and then all of a sudden everybody's in the aisles dancing. And so that's a fun part of it.
With me now is a woman who lives and breathes art every day, 365 days a year. Susie Hudson is the Executive Director of the White Bear Center for the Arts, and she's going to fill us in on the wonderful works of arts and events taking place here at the center. Thanks for having us. It's my first time in here, and it's beautiful.
Welcome. I'm delighted to have you here, and thank you for featuring the Art Center.
Well, it's you guys have been around for about a year and a half now in this building?
In this building, it'll be 2 years in July.
That's exciting.
But we've been in the community nearly 50 years.
A long
time.
history.
So deep roots here.
And how long are your roots? Because you've been involved with the center here for a number of years.
I've been director here for 12 years now.
Okay. So you've seen a lot of great changes over the years.
Tremendous, yes.
And who's our friend here?
Oh, this is Sydney.
Sydney is your mascot. She goes everywhere
yeah.
you go. She was following us earlier.
She pretty much does, yeah.
She's a beautiful,
Yeah.
oh, look at her. She likes to steal the show.
Hamming it up.
She is a ham, and I love it. A piece of art right here in her own right.
And she really welcomes people here and makes people feel really part of it.
Well, this room is where the Northern Lights art exhibit is happening, right?
Yes.
And how many years has that been going on?
We're celebrating our 41st juried art show with Northern Lights, so another event with deep roots in the community.
So describe for us how that arts exhibit works. How do people participate in that?
Artists living in Minnesota or Wisconsin are welcome to enter. And every year we select 3 different artists to serve on a panel, a jury panel. So it's not one singular aesthetic or opinion on judging what makes it in each show. It's a very difficult, challenging process. This year we had nearly 350 pieces entered, and the show is at 54 entries were accepted.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a very competitive process. It also allows artists to help build their professional resume too, when they can claim an entry into a juried art show with that caliber.
And some mixed medium, describe a little bit about what people will find in here, what kinds of art.
We have everything from wood-turned object to oil painting, pastel, watercolor. We've got more 3D work entered this year. We're delighted to see that aspect of the show growing and developing. And printmaking, photography, some textile, so ceramics. It represents all the mediums that we try to teach here at the Art Center too, and focus on many, many gateways into the arts.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about our winners this year?
Well, we have Mary Jo Vandell was awarded the Best of Show for her piece here in the background, Fox Creek. And this acrylic painting was awarded an Award of Merit, and lithograph, another Award of Merit. So even the awards were varied and represent not necessarily an affiliation or affection just for one type of artwork. The judges really were all looking for superior composition, technique, and a sense of poetry in the work as well.
And a lot
or
of
some type of statement.
Uniqueness here. I mean, I see in the corner, it's a saw blade.
A painted saw
just,
blade.
oh my goodness, that's really incredible.
Yeah.
You talked a little earlier about some of the classes that you do teach, a lot of different art forms and things that happen here. Can you give us a little bit of idea of what goes on in this building?
Well, we are able to offer over 800 classes a year now with this beautiful new facility. We have 4 teaching studios. One of them is designated just for clay. Our large drawing and painting studio has beautiful north-facing window, very large atelier-styled window. And that's a particular quality of light that is especially sought after by artists so that they're not getting harsh shadows. And then we have 2 other beautiful classrooms that we do more of the jewelry classes or children's classes in. We have one room that's particularly designated for photography and our life drawing class, because we have the ability to close shades in there and both darken the room and create a sense of privacy for our models. So the building was really designed with the artist experience in mind, function first, and that the most excellent space for making art in. So very utilitarian. The whole facility, as well as all the classrooms, were designed for full accessibility too. We went with a very, very simple aesthetic so that the artwork and the people inside would be the highlight and what would bring life to the building. The outside was all designed by Kenji Akagawa, who is a McKnight Distinguished Artist, and he helped design the rain gardens, which we just won an award for.
Well,
from
congrats.
Rice Creek Watershed. So they're also just incredibly beautiful.
It's a beautiful building all year long, but now is a great time,
It's
spring and summer, to come out and
yes.
maybe just even have your lunch here and take a walk through the interior. And
you probably noticed the large front porch that runs the entire length of the building, and we designed that specifically as a welcome mat to the community, so that we always have chairs out there. It's a beautiful place to meet a neighbor. We have some little magic chairs out back that were designed by artists from Franconia. They're mosaic chairs.
Awesome.
Many opportunities for the public to come and just use it as their community center.
Absolutely. And if people want to find out more, because there's so much more going on here than we just kind of scratch the surface, website would be the best place. What do you think? Website,
or the best place would be to come and see us and experience it. We have catalogs here and wonderful staff. But if you want to check it out first from comfort of home, website is whitebeararts.org.
Well, thank you, Susie. It's great to see you again, and it was great to meet Sydney here. Thanks, Sydney. You have a great place. She is such a beautiful puppy dog. I love her. Well, while awards were being given out to artists here for the juried art exhibit, another award ceremony took place recently inside the Radisson Blu Hotel at Mall of America, where the annual Upper Midwest Region Emmy Student Excellence in Television Production Awards took place. Now, speaking of students and media, here's a story about a project aimed at helping students to view programming from a different, more critical perspective. It's called Boys Speak, and we went to John Glenn Junior High in Maplewood to learn more about it.
So you guys did really well last week, so discussion about masculinity. We saw some videos and feedbacks about the videos and gender and boys and all that stuff. So.
Girls Speak started when
I would have to say when Misrepresentation, the documentary film, came out, I feel like it was a very powerful document that allowed individuals and groups and communities to take further action. And I think as a result, partnering up with SCC, this is what we, as a solution, this is what we can do as part of the movement.
Just say what you want to say. You don't have to say a lot. You don't have to, or if you just want to act something out or tell a story, that's fine too. Because we have a camera here, and it's your opportunity to basically say whatever you want. We're just here to help you.
So let's take about 5-10 minutes for you guys to kind of brainstorm.
Yeah, write down some ideas, talk amongst yourselves, and then we will start working from there. First class is watching the Misrepresentation movie, so it kind of opens up their mind to new things they may not have thought about before. The second class is starting to use those skills, analyzing media, analyzing commercials, and then watching some examples of media that's outside of that, some media that other kids have made, other youth, other grown males have made about their lives and their feelings towards gender.
The first week and second week a little bit, it kind of seemed like they still weren't entirely sure about this whole thing, but it seemed like they wanted to be here more today, which that ultimately is the goal, is to get them interested and involved in these type of discussions, both just masculinity in general and how it relates to them in their personal lives, but then also how it can relate to media as well.
The desire is to teach something about themselves, first thing, and also have a sense of making it in life, working, doing something, education, learning to be more respectful about their own self, just having the desire to just reach for things that just important to them.
Are we doing bullying? Is that what we're doing?
We're working
Okay.
on police homework.
I like that idea.
You two could be like the bullies, and like Pong's like my friend, and he like bystands.
He just sits
That's
there
what I
like
wrote
he
down.
sits there like
Bystands? Okay.
yeah.
Like we'll be walking in the hallway and the bullies come up and call names. So then like me and Mason got scared, so we went in the classroom and then the bully like what happened to the bully class.
We were trying to use the media, videos and stuff to advocate what you should and shouldn't do. In our case was bullying, of what you should and shouldn't do in a topic like bullying, and if you are being bullied, who to ask and what to do.
Beat him up.
All right, I think that's good.
And I think with the discussions that we have, it's been kind of shocking with Girls Speak and with this one that they don't understand how media is made, how to interpret it, that it's representation and not reality. When we did commercial comparisons last week, we did a lot of exercises where it's, okay, what is this commercial saying? It's saying that this man is strong because he owns this car. So what are the messages there? Men are strong. If you don't buy this car, you're not strong. If you don't buy this car, you're not a man. And you could see the wheels turning, but I don't know if they had thought about that before. So that's definitely a major goal with this camp for sure.
I didn't really know that it really inspired people, until I saw videos that they play to us, that media does inspire you. It reaches your heart sometimes.
There's a lot of media out there, and I don't want them to always think what they see is what it is. Ask questions about it.
Let's see what you guys think.
You shouldn't believe everything you hear or see unless you have facts to back it up to make sure it's true.
For more information about the Boys Speak or Girls Speak program, you can contact Andrea Paulette at Suburban Community Channels. Connect with Andrea and everything else involving public access television on the scctv.org website. Now, our final segment for today takes us behind the scenes of a project aimed at commemorating White Bear Lake's boating history through a new public display to be housed inside the Boatworks Commons. Located on the former renowned Johnson Boatworks site along the west side of White Bear Lake, longtime area resident, boating enthusiast, and boat builder Fletcher Driscoll heads up the committee tasked with making the display a reality. We caught up with Fletcher and his team of friends working on one of the key community room exhibits during a visit to his home on White Bear Lake.
Well, you can't do it by yourself. And so that's where the luck comes in, is that other people kind of share what you have an enthusiasm about. I mean, I can't run this shop by myself. It's impossible. I need Steve Johnson, I need Larry's, I need all these people to do all the things that we're trying to do. And that's where the luck comes in, that they share the enthusiasm that I have. Because if I were all by myself, I mean, I could barely do anything.
Sailing is a really interesting sport. It's a lifetime activity that you can learn at a young age or an old age. Doesn't make any difference, but it's you and yourself out there, you know, dealing with the wind, the waves, the temperature, stuff. Every time you go out, it's different, and and so there's different challenges each time, and that's what I love about the sport.
What is it about sailing, for example, that is so special? What is it that once you're a sailor, you never stop sailing? You may not have the money and you may not be in the right place, but that sailing experience will never leave you. And there are all sorts of attributes about sailing, and it all depends on your crew, depends on your boat, depends where you're sailing. And when you put all those circumstances, those parameters together, it's amazing how much fun it is. I have so many people come to me and say, Fletcher, I lived here for years and years and years, I race. I live now in the middle of the country, in the wheat fields in Nebraska, and I can't do any sailing, and it's driving me crazy. And so that room, I hope, will help anybody who's a docent there or taking people through, is to give them some idea of how important this was to the local community.
A community room dedicated to the history of white bear sailing is being constructed as part of the Boatworks Commons being built on the old site of Johnson Boatworks on the shore of White Bear Lake.
Well, sailing has been a big part of White Bear's history over, you know, going back into the 1880s. All of the development of the racing scows that we sail here basically took place in White Bear. There was Ramaley Boatworks, Amundsen Boatworks, Johnson Boatworks, Peterson Boatworks, you know, all that stuff that was right there that got us started. In addition, the Inland Lakes Yachting Association was formed at White Bear Lake, so there's a long, storied history that we would like to see preserved and not just sort of die off.
Mark Zather and I've known each other for a number of years. He's interested in old boats. He has an old sea boat himself. When the opportunity, he very cleverly kept a 35 by 40 foot room in the new apartment building as city property. And he wanted to use that room to celebrate the heritage of boat building in White Bear Lake over the last 150 years. And he said, Fletcher, would you be interested in doing that? And I said, I would be very much interested in doing that. So that's how I got involved.
The community room is meant to be a place where the origins of that site or the earlier history of that site are told. And so through the boat builders' stories and the Johnson family in particular, but much larger with greater context than that, we're trying to show photos and the actual construction of a boat, which is exciting, and be able to have the community still get a taste of what took place on that spot for so long. So as the Historical Society, we've of course been advocating for some sort of history there because it's an incredibly significant place for us. But beyond that, trying to provide whatever resources we have as far as photographs or plans from the Johnson Boatworks collection that we have and other information. So it's been a fun process.
As part of the room, an old Johnson Seaboat is being restored to become a permanent display.
Well, Angie and Jason Brown gave us this boat, and somebody had, I think, virtually given it to them for resale. But most of the time, these older boats, this is the 1973 Johnson, and it was taken care of moderately well, but not completely well. And so there's inevitable, in a boat that old, there's inevitable rot here and there. And so we turned the boat over and we cut it in half, and then we began to rebuild the bottom so that it's beautiful. If you want to crawl underneath here, you will see how beautiful it is. And then we flipped the boat over, put a new deck on it, new moldings, varnished everything, and have created, and Steve will show you, I think, what he's done with the bow, creating it so you can look into the boat So we've got an open place in the boat, which I think will help people understand the construction of the boat.
Fletcher Driscoll, a man with a long history of fixing sailboats on the lake, has been tasked with leading the restoration.
I began to draw on the building experience I had when we owned the former Amundsen Boatworks in the 60s, that decade. And so people began to give us boats, small boats, like X boats or Y boats or C boats. And because people are so generous with their time, they've given us just countless hours of free labor. So we get a boat for virtually nothing, then we rebuild it, put new canvas decks on, new hardware, and then we loan those boats out to people who are fresh out of college or have 2 kids and are penniless at the moment. And it's a good deal for us because the fleets get bigger, and so we have more competition, which is great because all these are good sailors. And it's good for them because they don't have a big financial outlay, which they can't afford.
He has assembled a team with many different skill sets.
They all had interesting careers. Many of them worked for, like John, working as a chemical engineer for 3M. These people are all able, very able. And it's not that the people who come in here don't know anything. They may not know exactly how to repair a boat, but they take direction very fast. I mean, they're smart, they're articulate, and they're motivated. And that's the luck. That's the luck that I have, is that these people are motivated to do good work.
He and his team are dedicated to transforming the boat into a centerpiece.
We're not going to get it back in the fall. It's a permanent installation, and so we're trying to be, as fastidious as we possibly can be. And we've made some changes on this boat that you might have seen in the original boat, because we just need to upgrade it a little bit because of its long-term use. And Steve will point out what we're doing in the bow, so you can look into it, as I mentioned a moment ago. But we're varnishing it, super well, and plugging the bung holes super well, and doing everything just as perfect as you can get. Probably better than a commercial boat.
Attempted to bring it back to the way it was when the boat was built in '73, and we're pretty close to doing it that way. There's trying to find the hardware that was used back in there rather than the more modern stuff. Although at some point you had to go with the modern because the other stuff just didn't exist anymore.
All the fittings that we have that are older, he and this other fellow, Tom Gresson, and a couple other people have remanufactured, so to speak. And so they all look gorgeous now, which allows us to display them to effect. And it's good for the city because we have all these in stock. The city doesn't have to pay for them, which is kind of nice. And we're proud of them. We're proud of them when he gets through with them.
All to preserve a little piece of White Bear Lake history.
I think it allowed people to really realize what this aspect of White Bear has turned out to be. I think most people know that sailing is a big thing here, but they have no idea that there's a 150-year history. They had no idea how big a deal Amundsen was, or Johnson, and the phases that each of those companies went through, and who was instrumental in those companies. And that's what we're trying to dramatize.
The finishing touches on the community room display inside the Boatworks Commons are underway, and soon the doors will be open to the public to kick off a great start to the summer boating season on White Bear Lake. We hope you find time to come check out the display and all of the other features and events that make life here in our northeast suburbs so enjoyable, including those found here at the White Bear Center for the Arts. We thank them for hosting us today, and until next month, I'm Judy Skyvoss, and I do thank you for watching Local Image.